Okay, remember that they're changing my voice. I'd like to remind you that I'm not racist. Okay. And I first like to start off with this video. Okay, let me start with it. Okay, remember that they're changing my voice. I'd like to remind you that I'm not racist. And before I get into 5 points or so that are very key for this video series, I want to help you understand why I'm right here. Dick Dastardly giggling, with a crown on his head and everyone kissing his butt, is inferior to me living on a shack on my parents' property, living in a shack on my parents' property with a beautiful wife with divine happiness, having fun and geeking and giggling in a place that you have no business in being, pretending to be important while everyone pretends with you, is nothing compared to divine happiness. Nothing. Even if you just live on a shack in your parents' property or live in a basement with your wife, as long as you have those things you're supposed to have. I have a divine happiness without a wife, but it's missing that wife. And that's a huge part of where society did me wrong. So when we look at the Dick Dastardly point of reference, okay, Ronald Reagan, let's see here, Nixon, okay, even Biden, Obama, Clinton, all these guys did not truly achieve happiness. They were just playing the game. They're just politicians. For the sake of reality, for the purpose of this video, I'm going to define a liberal a certain way. A Democrat, someone towing the party line of the Democratic Party, is not a liberal. A libertarian is not a liberal. And a conservative and a Republican, they're all not liberals. A liberal that is not mildly retarded or worse is open only to morality and sound reason. So I used to explain it in terms of the dictionary definition. This is a refined version of the dictionary definition. The dictionary definition says a liberal has an open mind, okay, and that therefore individual rights and limited government intervention into your life and so on and so forth. But when you have an open mind, are you going to do something stupid? We'll get to that in part 2, okay? Just because you have an open mind doesn't mean you're an idiot. In 2025, when most adults have a college degree in America, are the liberals, at least in America, are they going to be people who are open-minded to stupidity? No. That's called being stupid. That's called being mildly retarded or worse. If you're only open to illogical things, you don't have an open mind. You've closed your mind to the point where you're insane, and where you have a quote-unquote open mind is to stupidity. I'll prove that definitively in point 2. Point 2. No one has ever proven that immorality is magically a superior way forward, and countless people have been immoral in all kinds of ways. Just like no one has proven that jumping into a large meat grinder for no reason is a superior way forward. No one has ever proven that. So if you have an open mind and you're not a dumbass, okay, because you have to have a certain sense and a certain intelligence to be liberal, or the definition changes, the word changes, or you're just a dumbass. So what does it mean to have an open mind? It's unless you add something else, like you're open-minded but you're dumb, okay? So a liberal's natural course is to find what's not that hard to find, which is morality and sound reason. A dumbass is incapable of coming to the conclusions in this video series. A liberal is going to come to these conclusions and is going to stick to them, because that's the sound way forward, even if you face persecution. Again, no one has ever proven that immorality is magically a superior way forward, and countless people have been immoral. Just like no one has proven that jumping into a large meat grinder for no reason is magically a superior way forward. No one has ever proven that. Ever. There's no evidence to suggest that. None. When we look at the evidence, right? We look at Nixon, we look at Reagan. They look like miserable, guilty, insane people who are dabbling in immorality. So it's not just in the movies and cartoons. Dick Dastardly, Gargamel from the Smurfs, Lex Luthor, okay, from the Superman comics, Doctor Doom from the Fantastic Four, Magneto from X-Men. It's not just cartoons, okay, Gaston from Beauty and the Beast, right? Maleficent, and on and on. It's not just cartoons. We see it in people too. We see it in thugs. We see it in corporate psychopaths. We see it in Weinstein. We see it in Epstein with this stupid jackal look on his face. That face, that look on his face, is not something that's just genetic or something. It's something you cultivate over time, yeah, but you can move away from it by being a serious person. He looks like a child that never grew up, partially because of his genes, which can change over generations, mind you, and partially because he chose to not grow up. So we have an overwhelming amount of evidence in all kinds of forms. They even animate it for you in cartoons in ways that kids can understand. And as a result, where it stands right now, and I assure you will always be this way, no one has ever proven that immorality is magically a superior, keyword superior, way forward. And countless people have been immoral. Just like no one has proven that jumping into a large meat grinder for no reason is a superior way forward. It's important that I make sure you understand this. We have to have a strong foundation here. Point number 3. Vir in virtue means man for a reason. And a male can't be a true warrior without being a virtuous man. What do you call somebody willing to pick up a weapon and kill someone for a dumb reason? A stupid brute, an asshole, a dumbass, dumb and dumber, fucking retard. The word retard is a play on words for art red. Their art is red, the color of the devil, the color of evil, the color of the principles of evil, for example, in ancient Egypt, the color of Set. Art red. Okay, I'm not talking about when white people call Native American ladies and gentlemen angry red savages. That's called being a fucking liar and misusing the idea. The word retard is a play on words for art red because if you choose to be evil, you are a stupid fuck. And if you're a stupid fuck, there's only so much pleasure you can derive from life. When you have dumb brain activity, it doesn't take a neuroscientist, a neurologist, or a neurosurgeon to understand this. It doesn't take someone on the cutting edge of fucking neuroscience to be able to tell you that when you wire your brain on fucking stupid, there's only so much pleasure you can derive from life. And there's an overwhelming amount of evidence to that. For that. I shouldn't have to, cite studies or something. It's no-brainer. It's as clear cut as it's not a good idea to slam your head with a hammer for no reason. It's bad for your brain. Who would have thought? It's clear cut. Okay. So, therefore, a true liberal woman wouldn't date or marry or sleep with a male who isn't virtuous. So because vir in virtue means man for a reason. A male can't be a true warrior without being a virtuous man. Now, to be a true warrior, okay, there's some semantics here, there's not. We'll say a warrior in a broad sense. You can fight like Pee Wee Herman if he became a serious man. You don't have to fight like me, the top martial artist ever possible. You just have to commit to a righteous cause and fight for it in the way that's appropriate, in a way that fits the situation to be a warrior. Okay? So again, vir in virtue means man for a reason, and a male can't be a true warrior without being a virtuous man. Therefore, a true liberal woman wouldn't date or marry or sleep with a male who isn't virtuous. Now, because they did something right now to interfere with my video, I'll go as far as to say the bitch-ass motherfuckers females are dating with now are a sorry excuse for fucking men. They're not men, they're pussies. And that's how you treat a pussy when he tries to interfere with you when you're doing something as important as I'm doing right now. Any questions? So it's called being virtuous, called being manning up and trampling on those pussies who are fucking little boys that never grew up. And those sluts that roll with them talking about someone's a man-child if they've stood for what's right and they aren't financially stable as a result. At this point, I am proud to be financially sabotaged and not some bitch boy for some dumb gold-digging slut who think a man is determined by how much he kisses the elite's pedo fucking asses. If you can come to me with an argument to the contrary, where you can prove definitively Then in order to be a man, you have to be financially stable. If you can prove that definitively, then I would change my argument. But you can't. You're just rolling with the pedos and their allies in the corporate sector and abusing everyone with your gold-digging toxic philosophies, open and shut. It's not what a real woman would do, so therefore females who do that are girl childs. They're women childs, if you will. Point number 4. If liberals in reality organize, right? If liberals were to organize in reality, they would insist on something comparable to my $5.4 trillion plan because the economy is too big to overlook. Some have degrees in economics. Some are sociologists, social sciences. Some are psychologists. Some are, concerned citizens. Some are political activists. They would come together and say, hey, we need a sound plan to point to. They'd also point to an affordable plan to end homelessness as fast as possible. For example, you just cut the $100 billion check. It's only about 1/370th of the current debt, which is rising all the time. So if the current debt added $45 to inflation in a month, $45. Okay, when I say inflation, I mean in your household spending. Excuse me. If they added $45 to your household spending every month, with a $37 trillion debt, that adding $100 billion to the debt would only add about 12 cents to that. How are you going to let them add $45 more to your household expenses and then cry about 12 cents to end homelessness? And notice they made it hard for me to talk because there's some kind of money-grubbing Scrooge McDuck pussy instead of a man. This is why they say that they don't want kings. What is a king in its true form? Not in its Western form. They've never had a single king that has been known to be a real man. Never, ever. Not in Rome, not in England, not in France, ever. There are a bunch of King Louis and Neros. Julius Caesar wasn't a man. Never, ever once. If they had him, they would have scrambled to say, this guy right here. They couldn't do it. A true king is a mighty top martial artist, king of kings, right? That's why he wears a sword. He's a man's man. He is the righteous man of all time. Far preferred to any democratic system, by far. Something that after my flesh dies, you'll never be able to achieve if it makes you feel better. The people who want everyone to act like a bitch, they don't want the rise of a moral king. Some of them even call themselves Christians. And they're persecuting me for being that king. The king of kings. And somebody say, let me stop you there. Okay? Some kind of Flanders-ass pussy in the church would say, I don't agree with him. He's not Jesus. When their own Bible says it is folly to answer before listening. See my Proof I'm Christ playlist. It says you don't know when an angel is among you, so be careful. Things of that nature. It says that the disciples, when Jesus was resurrected, in one of the versions, he's walking right next to him. And they didn't recognize him. But you think some government-run bootlicker in the church magically knows whether or not I'm Christ in a way where they think that I'm not? Over the internet. My arguments prove logically that I am. But you think they'll have a feeling over what is said over the internet with no sound reason whatsoever? You see that? Because that's a conservative. They want to conserve a system of stupidity. Instead of look at the logic. Look at the reasoning. Instead of having rational thought determine their direction. Instead of choosing morality and rational thought and reason. To them, rational has to do with the rate in which the oppressive governing class can pretend to be chosen. And that is pathetic. That is Luciferian. That is part of the process of white, Jewish, and LGBT washing the cities. Every American should know that colonialism was pure evil. Pure evil. What do you call if you rape a kid and you cut him up real bad and you throw him a lollipop and a new Nintendo game? That's called being pure evil. Who cares about that bootlicker pittance called technology and candy? Who cares about that stuff? And so it is with colonialism. We also see the irrefutable fact that America did not climb out of colonialism into a utopia. It's been evil every step of the way, like every other nation in this world since 1776 at least. And it's still evil now, with no way to be good after my flesh dies. What's more important? To be a liberal and have the right to truth, the right to be open to reason, or to conserve political correctness, propaganda campaigns, and other falsehoods? Truly, the truth is greater than political correctness. Truly, the truth is greater than propaganda. And any society that would want me to shut up for telling the truth, instead of being a propaganda bitch, is a society of despicable, sniveling, whimpering worms that is much better off dead, much better off.